السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. What is to be noted at the beginning that not only we are going to cover 16 juz, but the fact is that half of Ramadan is remaining for us. How little was done by us, we know of it the best. And if it is the afiyah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and provision from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, coming days will be bigger achievement. We have a portion of Surah Kahf, entire of Surah Maryam, and entire of Surah Taha. I begin with Surah Maryam. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كافها يا عين صاد. ذكر رحمة ربك عبده زكريا إذ نادى ربه نداء خفيا قال رب إني وهن العظم مني واشتعل الرأس شيبا ولم أكن بدعائك رب شقيا وإني خفت الموالي من ورائي وكانت امرأتي عاقرا فهب لي من لدنك وليا يرثني ويرث من آل يعقوب واجعله رب رضيا يا زكريا إنا نبشرك بغلام اسمه يحيى لم نجعل له من قبل سميا قال رب أنى يكون لي غلام وكانت امرأتي عاقرا وقد بلغت من الكبر عتيا قال كذلك قال ربك هو علي هين وقد خلقتك من قبل ولم تك شيئا قال رب اجعل لي آية قال آيتك ألا تكلم الناس 3 ليال سويا فخرج على قومه من المحراب فأوحى إليهم أن سبحوا بكرة وعشيا صدق الله العظيم. كافها يا عين صاد. This is a mention of the mercy of your Lord to his servant Zechariah when he called to his Lord a private supplication. He said, "My Lord, indeed my bones have weakened and my head has filled with white, and never have I been in my supplication to you, my Lord, unhappy. And indeed, I fear the successors after me, and my wife has been barren. So give me from yourself an heir. Yarithuni, who will inherit me and inherit from the family of Jacob, and make him my Lord, pleasing to you. He was told, O Zechariah, indeed, we give you good tidings of a boy whose name will be John. We have not assigned to any before this name. He said, My Lord, how will I have a boy when my wife has been barren and I have reached extreme old age? An angel said, Thus it will be. Your Lord says, it is easy for me, for I created you before while you were nothing. Zechariah said, My Lord, make for me a sign. He said, Your sign is that you will not speak to the people for 3 nights, being sound. So he came out to his people from the prayer chamber and signaled to them to exalt Allah in the morning and afternoon. We find Zakaria alayhi salatu wassalam's story in 4 surahs. In this surah, Surah Maryam, Surah Al Imran, Surah Al An'am, and Surah Al Anbiya. And also, a hadith bring the seerah of this great prophet of Allah Azza wa Jal, Zakaria alayhi salatu wassalam. Who this Zakaria alayhi salatu wassalam is, that this surah starts with his mention that how he whispered to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how he made long but secret dua or supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what happened to his prayers, how his prayers were answered. This surah brings a long and interesting story of this prophet Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam, and the story of another prophet whose family is so connected to Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam. Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam is the progeny of Sayyidina Sulaiman bin Dawood. If we go to Old Testament, we find the mention of is Zakaria. But this Zakaria is different. He was about 500 years before Isa alayhi salatu wassalam. But Quran mentions Zakaria alayhi salatu wassalam, who is closely connected to Isa alayhi salatu wassalam. That his wife and the mother of Maryam alayhi salam are sisters. Not only this, what makes Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam a special, he was the leader, he was the uh, caretaker and supreme lead at the mosque at Jerusalem. He held a very key religious position over there. For his social life, for his family life, he used to be by profession a carpenter. For his earning, to support his family, to raise children. So by profession, he was a carpenter. And his service to Bayt al-Maqdis was absolutely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure and without any charge. As Anbiya alayhimu salatu wassalam kept their services, fi sabilillah. La as'alukum alayhi ajra. Anbiya alayhimu salatu wassalam always made it clear to people that we do not ask for all the work connecting you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, teaching you, refining your character, guiding you, leading you in prayers, and all our lives are dedicated to this cause, but without any cost to this work. Our recompense is from Allah Azza wa Jal. So from this, we find every prophet of Allah Azza wa Jal that for their own expenses, they did some work and they were never dependent on their people. From the time of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam to the time of Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, every Nabi used to be part of some kind of occupation, some kind of profession for their livelihood. Mufassirin explain interesting stories about other prophets like Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. When he was sent down to the earth, he carried some seeds from Jannah and he planted, and he was the one who harvested wheat and made the dough, and from the dough the bread. Then Shiza alayhi salatu wasalam, he was connected to the profession of construction, such as Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. They were connected to farming and as well as construction. And everybody knows from the Quran, they built Kaaba Musharrafa, raised the foundation of Kaaba Musharrafa. Dawood alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah mentions about him, وَأَلَنَّا لَهُ الْحَدِيدِ. He used to make the armors and other large things like maybe carts and weapons for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a miracle, made the metal in his hand like clay in the hands of young children. Moving forward, Ishaq and Yaqub alayhimus salatu wassalam used to uh, be shepherd. Musa alayhi salatu wassalam used to be shepherd. Even when he got married, um, the dowry that he paid, right, the mahar that he paid was to offer his services, 8 to 10 years to take care of the livestock for his wife and her family. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, at a young age, he also offered these services, and he worked as a shepherd. And when he grew up, he carried the business of Khadija al-Kubra before he got married to Sayyida Khadija radiallahu anha. So he took her tijara, her business, to Syria. Also, later on, he did business with Abdullah bin Sa'ib radiallahu anh, who later time met Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam in Medina Tayyibah. When Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam met, he asked, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked Abdullah bin Sa'ib, recognize me? And Abdullah replied, Ya Rasulullah, why not? You used to be my business partner. Wonderful business partner. You never delayed any matter or refused. I never experienced any dispute in the matter of business. Subhanallah. So, Abdullah ibn Sa'ib enjoyed the company of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam in business partnership. So all Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam had some sort of occupation to earn their. Sayyida Maryam alayhi salam and her son Isa alayhi salatu wasalam more longer than any other place. For Maryam alayhi salam, you find her life story in here more details than any other place, including Al Imran. Her father was also a leader in Bayt al-Maqdis, the religious leader. And like Imran, Maryam alayhi salam, her father was Imran, and her mother was Hanna bint Faqud. She made a vow, a nadhr to Allah Azza wa Jal, that if she bears a child, she would dedicate this child to the service of Bayt al-Maqdis. For those people, those Anbiya and their followers, they found this a form of ibadah, to dedicate their children from birth, all their lives, to the service and khidmah of the deen. And then they would free them from all other duties and obligations in life. A complete dedication to the service of deen. So her mother, Hanna bint Faqud, made that kind of nadhr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Simply to bring, khair, barakah in her family, and to earn Allah's pleasure, His rada, right? To be connected to the family who dedicate their lives to the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. So it was a beautiful nadhr. She bore a child, and at birth, she was surprised to see that it is a daughter. And she says that, oh Allah, I had this vow, I had this intention to dedicate the child to the service of Bayt al-Maqdis, but here it is a daughter. And I knew that a son can, do this better, as it involves dealing with the community, all outside life. So I knew that a son, a boy, could do this better. But it is your decision, it is your will, I submit. So she carried the baby to Bayt al-Maqdis and said that this is my daughter, and according to my um, vow, she is for Bayt al-Maqdis. And now everybody was cheered, right? Everybody welcomed this baby because she was coming from the great family, and also she was dedicated from birth, before birth, right, to the service of Bayt al-Maqdis. So everybody wanted to have the honor to take care of this baby, to be the guardian, since her father, Maryam's father, died before her birth. So who should be in charge of her? Who should be the guardian and caretaker? So everybody wanted to have this honor. Like at one time, Kaaba Musharrafa, after the birth of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, before 5 years before he became prophet, there was dispute among Quraysh when they were renovating Kaaba Musharrafa, who will carry the black stone and put it where it's supposed to be, as they were reconstructing Kaaba Musharrafa. So it was a matter of big honor, and every family of Quraysh wanted to have this honor. And then we know the story. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam settled this dispute. So similarly here, everybody wanted to have this honor. Quran mentions this in Surah Al-Imran. إِذْ يُلْقُونَ أَقْلَامَهُمْ أَيُّهُمْ يَكْفُلُ مَرْيَمَ. So it was this time that Zakaria, his position becomes evident. He said that I should be her guardian because my wife and her mother are sisters. So this way, if I become her guardian, I'm already related to the child. But nobody found this, enough to withdraw from their right to be the guardian. So finally, they resolved to drawing a lot. So 3 times they drew the lot, and each time Zachariah's name was drawn. So finally, he was assigned as a guardian, and from that day, he passionately, right, kindly began providing all the needs for young baby Maryam alayhi salam. When she became little mature, Zakaria dedicated a room for her in the masjid, and at night time she would go to her aunt and stay there overnight. And daytime she spends all her time in supplication, prayers, ibadat, i'tikaf at the masjid. And every time Zakaria leaves the masjid, for her safety, he would lock the door from outside. Upon return, he would find that Maryam alayhi salatu wasalam is sustained with quality of fresh fruits, which not from the local market, which were not found in the local market, fruits from outside of the season. So he would ask shockingly that, Maryam, where do you get all these provisions? Anna laki hada? And she would reply. So it was the point that a thought came up in the mind of Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving Maryam fruit from outside of the season, right? And I needed a child, a progeny, who will carry the mission, religious mission for Banu Israel. Look at this child, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how He is providing. I have to bring the urge in my prayer. I have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dearly, sincerely, right? And this brought Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam to mihrab. هنالك دعا زكريا ربه قال رب هب لي من لدنك ذرية طيبة إنك سميع الدعاء. And he made the dua days and days and days, and his hope was strong, and he believed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer his dua. And then by the izn, by the permission from Allah Azza wa Jal, angels rushed to Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam, carrying the glad tidings from Allah Azza wa Jal that Allah has answered your dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving you a son. Inna Allah yubashiruka biyahya. Inna Allah yubashiruka biyahya. Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam asked that, Ya Allah, I already passed the age, right, to be father. My wife known to be barren. So how this is going to happen? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminded that He gave him the birth. He created the things from nothing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminded Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam His power over everything. Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Fa'alun lima yurid. Yakhluqu ma yasha'. And there he also made a indication to Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam, an indication to the time where a son will be born in his house. That 3 days, not out of ailment and a disease, right? Not out of a disease. For 3 days, you won't be able to speak with people except by gesture. So he found that this time, as soon he realized that he's not able to speak, right? And the sign came, he emerged from the chamber of the masjid and indicated to the people, to congregate, to the community, that engage yourself in tasbihat, in dhikr of Allah. Fill your time with tasbih to Allah. Fill your time with the zikr of Allah. Do the tilawah, do the zikr, right? He engaged them, and he himself was busy in these days with tasbih, tahmeed, tamjeed to Allah Azza wa Jal, because a great blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was coming. So ulama mentioned that whenever a need occurs for us, we need to present our need before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we made the dua. Then we need to mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings upon us. We need to glorify Allah. We need to magnify the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We remember all the blessings of Allah upon us, and we mention those. And then we bring our need. How much we are dependent upon Allah Azza wa Jal. How many other occasions Allah satisfied us? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided us from His treasures, and we make mention of those things, and then we bring our need. So we learn from the seerah of Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam many things, but one thing is how to make the dua. So Banu Israel were given Yahya alayhi salatu wasalam. Banu Israel were given Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. Isa alayhi salatu wasalam is coming from a noble family, Al Imran, as mentioned in the Quran, right? In Surah Al Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that how He elevated Adam and Nuh, right? And the family of Imran. And a hadith says, speaking of the greatness of Maryam alayhi salam and her child Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, that when they were born, shaitan was kept away from them at their birth. So mother Maryam, and when she gave birth to Isa, both of these people, when they were born, shaitan was kept away from them. So as they were born, they didn't cry. So according to this hadith, shaitan maybe a a pinch of every newborn, right? Shaitan welcomes every newborn to this world of tribulation and trials, and he brings not a smile, but brings a cry. But as a miracle for these two children, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept shaitan distant. So it only sheds light on their speciality, as every Nabi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated them with different kind of alayhi salatu wasalam, among many other fada'il and barakat and mu'jizat of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. As for Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam, when later in his life he suffered the animosity from Banu Israel, and according to one tradition, he was murdered by his people. And another tradition says that he died naturally and he was not murdered. However, his son Yahya alayhi salatu wasalam was definitely murdered, and they also tried to kill Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised him at that moment. So Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam, in the books of history mentioned that he is buried in the famous city Halab in Syria. The masjid is called Jami' Zakaria. So his qabr is known there. In 2018, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me the opportunity. I was blessed to visit Bayt al-Maqdis, and I was inside Bayt al-Maqdis. And what can I say about that place? That every footage of it has a history. Meaning, if you just turn even 1 inch, you roll your eyes from one pole to the other one, right? You are actually had passed hundreds of years or thousands of years of the history that was, the people lived there, Anbiya lived there. So I didn't know where to begin with and where to end. While I was looking at every poll, every post, every area of that great place, someone pointed to me that this is the mihrab of Zakaria. This is the mihrab of Zakaria. And I took so many pictures of the mihrab alone, the mihrab itself, not selfie, okay? And I saved in my phone. But what happened, usually what happens to the phones, when you lose the phone. So I lost all the memory of that trip in that phone. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me with another trip, and I have to look if I still have in my second trip the picture of that mihrab where Zakaria alayhi salatu wasalam, according to the locals, used to stay. And that mention, like he's standing in the mihrab, is mentioned in the Quran, Surah Al-Imran. So this is Surah Maryam. Surah Maryam. The next surah is Surah Taha. طه ما أنزلنا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. طه ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن لتشقى إلا تذكرة لمن يخشى تنزيلا ممن خلق الأرض والسماوات العلى الرحمن على العرش استوى له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وما بينهما وما تحت الثرى وإن تجهر بالقول فإنه يعلم السر وأخفى الله لا إله إلا هو له الأسماء الحسنى صدق الله العظيم. I just remember a hadith. Actually, it is the Athar. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu an. He says, إِنَّهُنَّ مِنَ الْعِتَاقِ وَهُنَّ مِنْ تِلَادِي. He is speaking about 5 surahs, group of 5 surahs. Surah Banu Israel, Surah Kahf, Surah Maryam, Surah Taha, and Surah Al-Anbiya. About these 5 surahs, right, Faqihul Ummah, Abdullah ibn Abbas says, إِنَّهُنَّ مِنَ الْعِتَاقِ وَهُنَّ مِنْ تِلَادِي. These 5 surahs are the marvelous surahs. These are the early surahs. These surahs are the one that I memorized first. So he remembers these 5 made Mufassirin to say that the order that's found in all the surahs today, from Surah Al-Fatiha being first surah, and Surah, Al-Baqarah, Al-Imran, An-Nisa, Al-Ma'idah, like this order, all the way to An-Nas, which is the order of recitation. It was not done by the Sahaba according to one opinion. This is not the right opinion, but it was an order that inspired by Allah Azza wa Jal, tawqifi, because Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is mentioning these 5 surahs in the order that they are found in the Quran from early days. So this solves one, discussion, one dispute that the scholars have, the scholarly debate, whether the order between the surahs set by the Sahaba or it is by Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam himself by a guidance from Allah Azza wa Jal. That's one thing. And second one, that these 5 surahs are really, really important surahs. Surah Surah Maryam, I just told you that it has the history, um, story of Maryam and Isa, Zakaria and Yahya, and then Ibrahim and Musa and Harun, all these Anbiya, alayhimus salatu wassalam. It is that surah when Muslims migrated to Abyssinia. Then Ali radiallahu anhu's older brother, Ja'far, he also migrated. And the king of Abyssinia asked Muslims that what belief do you have and what do you say about Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, as the king of Abyssinia was Christian, and in his royal court all the bishops were standing when Ja'far at-Tayyar made the recitation of Surah Maryam alayhi salam. And this recitation brought the tears in the eyes of king himself and all the bishops and the people in his court, as they saw that the story of Maryam and Isa are so close to what they knew. And the king stood, and he said, drawing a line with his toes on the ground, and said, what you are saying and what we know is so close like the hairline. Meaning he was welcoming them. He was accepting what Ja'far al-Tayyar read from the Quran. So that's Maryam, Surah Maryam. What Surah Taha? Surah Taha, what can I say at this time? That when Umar radiallahu anh, the day when he accepted Islam, the day that softened his heart, among many things that he found his sister Fatima and her husband Sa'id, right? How firm they were with Islam, how strong the Iman was grounded in their hearts, right? Or planted in their hearts. That he tried his best, right, to threaten them. Even he brought he bleeded, his brother-in-law, and he brought the injuries. He slapped his sister. He did everything to scare them, push them from Islam. But when he saw their firmness and their patience and their goodness, right? For they did not speak vulgar, they did not curse, they didn't do anything. He saw that Islam teaches its followers amazing discipline, good characters, and the Quran itself, it opened up on him that day, as he demanded what are those verses. According to one narration, it was the beginning verses of Surah Taha. I made the recitation. In conclusion, I would say that this is a hadith. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam says there are 3 surahs where you find Al-Ismul A'zam. Al-Ismul A'zam is one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala according to hadith. If we made dua to Allah Azza wa Jal, beseeching Allah Azza wa Jal, begging Allah Azza wa Jal for all our needs, for our maghfirah, for the halal rizq, right? Success in this life, success in the next life, right? And the khair and afiyah for our progenies, right? Safety and security from all the troubles and tribulations, and all other du'as of our needs. When we put before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala our needs, and we need to bring the power in our du'as by celebrating beautiful names of Allah Azza wa Jal. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. All the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have a special effect, a special quality, a special meaning, special power. But in the midst of all names of Allah Azza wa Jal, one name is called Al-Ismul A'zam according to hadith. Never we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by this name of Allah, except that Allah answers. But what name is Al-Ism Al-Azam from the many, many names? Yes, you shall find Al-Ism Al-Azam in three surahs. What are those three surahs? Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Imran, and Surah Taha. And Surah Baqarah is not a small surah. In fact, it's the largest surah. So you have to read all from the beginning to the end to stumble upon the Al-Ism Al-Azam. Surah Al-Imran is second deal. It is a great deal. But we are weak and we are short-sighted and we don't have, we need something right away. We need something already prepared, a puzzle already, solved for us. That kind of people we are. And our ulama, our scholars, alhamdulillah, they made a lot of efforts to dig out for us, um, uh, you know, you know, um, the name of Allah Azza wa Jalla, Al-Ism Al-Azam. Of course, no one says in definite way that this is it, but they brought up this close. They said in Surah Al-Baqarah, go to Ayat Al-Kursi. In there you find Al-Ism Al-Azam. As for Surah Al-Imran, go to the very beginning um, ayat of Surah Al-Imran and you find Al-Ism Al-Azam. As for Surah Taha, there in that surah, either it is found in وَعَنَتِ الْوُجُوهُ لِلْحَيِّ الْقَيُّومِ, or more famously it is in the ayah إِنِّي أَنَا اللَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدْنِي وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِي. And if we pick this one, which is in the beginning of surah, إِنِّي أَنَا اللَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدْنِي وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِي, then it is so matching with what is found in Surah Al-Imran and Surah Al-Baqarah, which is Ayat Al-Kursi. So then all these three uh, places are matching with each other in wordings. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us that we increase our zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We increase the zikr of Allah, tasbihat. We take the heed, right, to the zikr of Allah, and we see that how Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam and their true followers, they took themselves to the masajid and they made themselves well grounded, particularly when a ni'mah of Allah is about to descend upon them. Like Yahya was to be born for Banu Israel. What people did, they filled all their days with tasbih and tahmid and tamjid. Here, Ramadan have to, and it comes so that we can connect ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His book, right? Reading of it at nighttime and daytime, we refrain from food and drink, and a spousal relationship, those things which are otherwise are halal. So how much more we have to stay away from haram if halal thing we are refraining from. So the idea is to live the life like of Anbiya and their true followers in this time in Ramadan, and hoping that we live the similar life, same life after Ramadan. So we need to increase our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Quran. And in Quran we find the tasbihat, tazkir, zikr, and the tilawa. So let's engage in those activities. Be mindful that odd nights from the last 10 days are not far away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals upon us His beautiful names, Asma Husna, and accept our prayers. Make this Ramadan an absolute gain for us, and forgive us all our past sins. Make coming days better than previous days, and keep us in the company of righteous, faithful people in whose company we are ever motivated to do good. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our families, our children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring down the khair and barakah in our homes and afiyah. Make us content with halal even though it's little, and distance us from haram even though it's easy and plentiful, and keep and raise us in the next life in the company of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam and his true followers. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.